Welcome to the Awaken the Awesome podcast with your host, Olivier Day. This is Awaken the Awesome, a podcast where we acknowledge that we are all in this together. Through enlightening conversations and personal insights, we like to engage with individuals just like you, who show us how they are bringing a little bit of awesomeness along their individual journeys. Our hope is to inspire you to always keep pushing and to stay awesome along the way. I don't know who coined it, but I'm pretty sure some of you have heard about the often stated notion that public speaking ranks incredibly high on most people's lists of greatest fears. I'm not too versed on the statistics, but if we're going to take this as a fact, then we can agree that there's a particular category of public speakers that most certainly hold their own as modern-day Spartans in this arena. I've always admired stand-up comics, not just for the sheer audacity and courage it must take to show your face to a group of people who, whether they know it or not, are armed and able to skewer and decimate not just your material, but also your mental strength, resilience, and self-esteem. It's a career path that, by all comparisons, when you deconstruct it, could be considered lunacy. But if you're a fan like me, you cannot set aside the incredible sense of pride one must have for the craft to literally put it all out on the line and chase your dream. Such is the kind of dedication and skill that has undoubtedly been at the core of my next guest's notable 30-year career in the business. As a former police officer, Kevin Jordan quickly found out that he preferred making people laugh. His unique blend of high energy and lovable charm make him a favorite wherever he performs. His stories of his days as a police officer, a family man, and his everyday view on life never fail to draw huge laughs from his audiences. A much sought-after entertainer, Kevin thrills audiences at comedy clubs, colleges, corporate functions, and venues in all 50 states. He is also a headlining comedian for every major cruise line. Most notably, he has had the privilege to perform over 5,000 shows for the USO and the troops worldwide. Kevin has appeared on The Today Show, Comedy Central, Showtime at the Apollo, and many other notable networks and media outlets. As of this recording, his recent Dry Bar comedy special has amassed an incredible 5.8 million views on YouTube. He is also the author of When the Streetlights Come On, a wonderful collection of funny, nostalgic, and heartwarming stories pulled from a time before Facebook and when there was actually a difference between school clothes and play clothes. On this episode, Kevin and I share a heartfelt, energy-filled conversation where he shares some gut-busting stories and useful insights on longevity, knowing your craft, taking chances, seeing the humor all around us, and so much more. Another exciting conversation, which I do hope you'll enjoy. So let's get into this. Awaken the Awesome, episode 165, the first interview of 2022 with comedian Kevin Jordan. Here we go. So, nothing happens out of nowhere. So, again, I just want to put this on the record. Guys, always double check your production because some things do happen. As you know, we do these recordings remotely, and sometimes, being so overly, planning and everything, you think you have all the details down. And when you send your guest the link to the wrong recording room, it's even 150 episodes in, mistakes do happen. So, of course, I want to
listen.
It's
that's the way it goes, man. You could rehearse something 1,000 times. At that one time you do it, go, oh man, we didn't plan for this. You never know. That's life.
Yeah,
life happens like you're making plans.
You gotta take it as it comes. But
right.
I really want to launch it off, Mr. Jordan, to actually just celebrate you like for 2 seconds, because people really need to know the randomness of the universe, as I like to call it. You never know what can happen and how the universe can answer back. Guys, I was just basically sitting in my living room. And as stuff does, my wife was out with the kids running errands, and I was just sitting in my living room and just folding laundry. And I kid you not, I'm like, okay, just put something on the YouTubes and stuff, just distract me. And out of nowhere, I get a random recommendation about the world's funniest police officer. I'm like, okay, Dry Bar comedy video. I was like, okay, 45 minutes. Okay, I got time. And I just click play. I'm just hearing this guy talk about so many stories. And I just turned 40. And the thing is, this thing hit me to my core. Comedy hits you to a very deep level. Because for me, it was very personal. Because I remember when I was a student, just came to Montreal, I couldn't afford much. And one thing that really kept me going when I was working night jobs and going to school, I had a CD player. And when I used to go to the music store, when CDs were still hot, something that was always on sale was comedy CDs. So I really got into the Cosbys and the Foxworthys and the Jamie Foxxes and the old school Pryor. And I really enjoy comedy because there is a very powerful healing power to laughter. So I followed stand-up comedy for a really long time, and it was really funny. The past few years have given us a lot of great specials, whether it's Chris Rock's Tambourine or Dave Chappelle or Kevin Hart. But there are still people out there that you don't know about that are doing tremendous work. And it was so refreshing to meet this individual and see this individual and laugh to the point of crying. I was crying because the stories were relatable. The stories were relatable. It really brought me back, talking about Etch-a-Sketch and, just talking about bunny ears and stuff. I'm only 40. I was born in 81. But these things touched me so much. I'm like, this guy is epic. Like, who is this guy? His name is Kevin Jordan, ladies and gentlemen. And through the randomness of the universe, he accepted to be on the podcast. Thank you so much, Mr. Jordan, to be on the podcast.
No problem,
pleasure
man.
And a thrill to welcome
Always willing to help out, man. Always willing to help out. Nice words. I appreciate the words too.
It's so sincere. It's so sincere. And just coming off it, and I can't skip over this one. Even after your, very long career, because you've been doing this for 30 years?
Yeah, about 30 somewhere in that ballpark.
A good 30 years. And I really have to ask you, when you get that laugh, how does it feel?
All right. See, and this is what, before I even started doing comedy, let's back up a little bit. I was a police officer. Ain't no more serious job than police officer.
I can imagine. LAPD.
And LAPD. Well, we're going to say LAPD, but I worked on the west side. I worked Brentwood, Bel Air, Palisade. I wasn't doing crime. I wasn't fighting crime. Ain't no crime in Bel Air.
No.
Ain't no drive-bys in Brentwood. So I wasn't fighting crime. I was fighting someone stole my Grey Poupon crime, like that kind of crime. So long story short, somebody dares me to go on stage at a comedy club, and I do it. And let me tell you something: when you get a laugh from something you said, it is so euphoric. It's like people talking about taking that first hit of crack or cocaine, and they say they get such a high, because it's the first time. It's like, oh my God, I got to do this again. That's what comedy is like. That's what it's like when you get a laugh from something you've done or said, and it just comes at you in a wave like that. It's like, oh my God, it just felt so good. It's so good. I quit my job. I didn't do it that day, that year, that month, but I left the police department to chase comedy. So. It was so euphoric, man. It's a feeling that you just don't. Like I said, the only thing I can explain it to is and I've never done crack, and I've never done coke, but I've heard people who've done it, and they say, that first high is like, oh,
that first hit, first hit.
That's why they give you the first one for free, because they know you'll be back, and that's like comedy. They let you in that open mic club, let you go on do 5 minutes because they know you'll be back. You'll be back. So yeah, that's what it's like.
That's so powerful. And you know what? I talk a lot about taking chances and, just opening up to the universe, as I like to call it. You never know until you take that chance. And you talk about, taking a dare and actually going to the open mic. A lot of people would have basically copped out and said, that ain't for me. But can you speak to us about, taking that dare, what I like to call the audacity to show up?
See, you know what? See, and I call it rolling the dice. You got to take chances in life. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. The first big artist I ever opened for was George Benson. And he was doing a show. I was in the basement club, this club in the basement, and he was in the theater above us. And somebody had told me, yeah, George Benson's doing a show for the Garment Workers Union today. I go, really? So I snuck up the back way, and they rehearsed it, and they came off stage. And I started talking to him, and I'm talking to him about Masquerade and all this George Benson trio. I want to let him know I'm more than a fan. I know his music. So he goes, oh, that's nice. He says, what do you do here? And I go, oh, I'm the comedian. I'm working downstairs. I said, I hope one day maybe I could work for you. So, the guys in the band are like, well, let's hear some jokes. So back in them days, you said, let's hear some jokes. I jumped on it. I started going into my routine and whatnot. So George Benson goes, listen, we're running a little late and I'm hungry. I'm not going to go on stage until I've had something to eat. He says, so if you can keep it clean, you go out there and do 15, 20 minutes. I said, for real? Yeah, bet. So tell the stage manager, blah, 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 set it all up. I go out, do my 15, 20, packed house, like, again, man, it was a wave, man. It felt so good. I came off stage. I shook his hand, said, hey, Mr. Benson, thank you so much. I was very nice to you. And in his hand, he had $200.
Ooh.
And he said, let me tell you this. He said, man, you were funny, but never worked for free. And gave me $200, went on my way. So that's what I say about rolling the dice. Now, let me tell you, rolling the dice in a bad way. Okay?
Sure.
And I don't tell this story a lot. So I do. This is years. This is just a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a cruise. I'm on my way home, actually. And I get a call. They say, hey, the Oprah cruise is coming out of Florida. Do you want to go work it? I go, well, I'm on my way home. She said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll take care of everything. Turn around, get back on the plane, and do the Oprah book club. I said, oh, okay. So I turn around, nice. I get on the ship. And it's a ship I've been on a many times. I know everybody. And it's, like I said, it's the Oprah Book Club. Mm-hmm. So guess what? Kevin Jordan wrote a book. I said, oh, man, this is fate. This is fate. This got to be for a reason. So I go out there. I do the show. Show's killer. 2 standing ovation shows, killer shows. Now they're having a talk, a book talk with this author who had just been accepted into Oprah Book Author Club. You know, she's the author of The Moms. Mm-hmm. And they're having this big talk about her book and yada, yada. And I tell my wife, I said, I'm going to go. I'm going to go and just give her my book. And my wife's like, see, my wife don't take no chances. My wife is straight laced. She's straight laced. Don't your wife, no the
investigator?
That's right. My wife, the detective. My wife's a LAPD retired detective. She go buy the book.
She reading it like I'm reading The Room.
Right. She before we get to the room, she said, like, I don't think that's a good idea. I said, no. I said, I'm gonna take a chance. I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be good. She goes, I don't know about this. So I wait till everyone asks a question because I knew they would have a question and answer with the author. And I knew at the end of it, they would go, oh, we'll take 3 more questions. I knew all that. So sure enough, the whole day, and then they say, 3 more questions. And I'm the last one to stand up. And I go, hi. I stand up. I go, hi, my name's Kevin Jordan. And everybody in the room knows me because I just did a show the night before.
Yes.
Go, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin.
So she goes, I go, hey, listen, I know my book ain't ready for the Oprah Club, but I would like to give both of you a book, the author and the woman who works for Oprah. I said, I'd like to give you both a book. I only have 2 left. I really would like it, just to say I gave it to you, blah, blah, blah. So the woman who works for Oprah goes, well, did you read her book? I go, well, my wife's reading it because it's a woman's book. It's like, it ain't for guys. It's like, I could tell you the author and I could tell you everything, but it's a woman's book. So she goes, I say, well, my wife's reading it. She's telling me about it, yada, 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 yada. So, I give her the books and afterwards we take a couple of pictures and I say to her, hey, that was all right, right? She goes, oh yeah, sure. You're fine. The next day, my agent calls me and go, hey, what happened at the Oprah cruise? I go, nothing. I said, I had a great time. It was a ball. I had 2 standing ovations at the show. She goes, yeah, they don't want you back.
Oh.
I go, what do you mean they don't want me back? She said, not only don't they want you back, they want you fired from the cruise line. I go, for real? She goes, yeah. They were so upset. They said you interrupted it and blah, blah, blah. And yeah. I said, I didn't interrupt. I said, I stood in the back. I waited till the whole thing was over. I waited in line. I said hello to everybody. I said, it was. She goes, yeah. She said they were piping mad. So yeah, they're gonna have to let you go. And then they pulled all my dates for the future. And so that's the other side. So when you roll them dice, boy,
you be ready to take a chance. You better be ready. That's
right. You take a chance, be ready. So that's the yin and the yang.
That's the yin and yang. Everything in balance, and you're still here to talk about it. And you know what?
Right. Listen. You get through it and you move on. That's all. You just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, as they say, and move on to the next one.
There's no bigger school to educate you, in my understanding, about the power of paralyzing fear than stand up. Because from what I've read and from what I've seen, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this. Comics always talk about when they get up and everything, but just getting onto that stage and wanting to launch material, which is untested, and trying it out and having that direct reaction. Right. There is no bigger school to conquer your fear. And I was wondering what that was like for you in the beginning.
Let me tell you. In the beginning, Okay, in the beginning, you were really nerve-wracked to get out in front of stage, and somebody tells you do 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time.
Really?
If you've never done it before, 5 minutes, and I can rattle off 5 minutes, but I didn't think about it. But 5 minutes back then, oh my God, and it's nerve-wracking. Like I said, and I always try to tell this to my wife, because my wife's a singer. She was a LAPD singer and blah, blah, blah. I try to tell her all the time, there's nothing harder than stand-up comedy. Because everything we say has to be original. We can't do Bill Cosby's material. Like a singer could do Michael Jackson all day. Mm-hmm. They'd say, "Oh, Michael Jackson." If a comedian started doing Chris Rock, he's doing Chris Rock.
Joke face.
Right? And then you can't even tell the same joke twice. You've never seen Chris Rock come out, do a special, and then take that special on tour. Mm-hmm. But singers, they do an album, then they take that album on tour. But let's say like Janet Jackson, she better sing Control or one of her big hits every time. Comedian can't go back time and do the old jokes. People, we've heard that. Wow. So yeah, it's very, very tough when you do comedy because, like I said, everything has to be original. Even if you slide into somebody's area, like if somebody started doing jokes now about trans or LGBT, mm-hmm. everybody would compare him to Dave Chappelle. Oh, he doing Dave Chappelle. Mm-hmm. Even just for the subject material. So yeah, so it's a very tough field to be in, and I always wonder about guys starting now because they keep narrowing the field of what's allowable to talk about. That guys starting now, I really wonder how they're going to make it.
It's important for people to talk about this. You know what? Because we've seen YouTube videos, a bunch of interviews with people. Like, we've seen the sit down between Louis C.K. and Seinfeld, and I believe it was Chris Rock talking about like the censorship issue. But I really want to get your take on this because you're a seasoned veteran. Have people gotten too sensitive, or is it the subject material, or people just too PC? And this is an open platform because personally, me, if it's funny, I'm a big fan of Carlin. Big fan of Carlin, and Carlin was a wordsmith, and the material that he touched, even to this day, is relevant and it reaches you.
Exactly.
And people, I believe, right now, as you said, the playing field as to what you're allowed to talk about now is intense, which is why I love your special because what I really enjoyed about it, and again, this is not a comparison, but it really brought me back to Sinbad. Growing up, afros and bell bottoms. Clean, but very homey, jokes about the neighborhood, growing up and stuff.
Right.
But I'm sure you do edgy stuff as well, and you've been around the gamut. But what is it right now? What is going on right now? What is happening to people?
Well, first of all, people have lost the art of laughing at themselves. Everything's funny until it's your turn. Like you'll laugh at everything, laugh. Then they say something about you. Oh, that ain't funny. Well, wait a minute, you just laughing at everything else, Mm-hmm. So yeah, people cannot laugh at themselves anymore. Everybody's offended for other people. I had a woman once write a letter. She said she was offended because I was talking about that I was making fun of poor and broke people. And the joke I talk about I was broke and poor as a child. That's how the joke starts. I was broke and poor. I said, that's a deadly combination. She wrote a letter saying I was making fun of broke and poor people. So,
wow.
Yeah, everybody's just got such a thin skin now. Everything offends everybody. So I don't, maybe we have a bad habit of swinging the pendulum to the extremes all the time. Anything goes. And now we're back to you can't say anything without offending somebody. So it really is a tough line to walk.
But comedy,
because you don't know what's going to offend them. You really don't. I do a joke. I talk about the military, and a guy got offended because I mentioned the Navy last.
Wow.
So that was it. And he was piping mad too. But listen, what are you going to do?
We can't
at the end of the day. We can.
You're going to offend someone regardless. And you know what? I believe comedy in itself, comedy is satire. Comedy is finding something true and again, putting, a hilarious spin on it because you have to be able to laugh at yourself. There are jokes about Haitians. There are jokes about Chinese people. There are jokes about kids, parents, like I can't, I hear, a comic talking about being single with no kids and making the obvious joke like, okay, this is me sleeping in on a Saturday. It's like, well, that's true. I can't get offended, but it's a really fine line we're walking right now. And it's odd. It's odd. Really.
You know what? It just amazed me. If you're offended, then leave. If you think you're going to be offended, then don't.
Why do you show up? Exactly.
Right, don't go. And don't sit in the front row. They always sit in the front row.
You're making yourself a target.
They sit in the front row and mean mug you for 45 minutes. Like, oh my God, really? Just go sit in the back where you can slip out and nobody knows you come, but I don't know. You know what? And it used to bother me. I used to tell a joke about kicking a cat, playing cat football.
Wow.
Yeah, listen, the joke, and I knew,
funny.
Yes, it was hilarious.
I see it, and it's making me laugh.
And I knew the audience was going to go like that. I knew it, and that's why I did the joke. And the tag to the joke was, at the end of the joke, I talk about a woman complaining about the joke, and then somebody says to the woman, "Hey, how did you like your veal?" And she goes, "Oh, it's very tender, very tender." Yeah, so if you're going to laugh about if you're going to be upset about kicking a cat, I mean, you can't be offended. I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean.
I see where you're going. It makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Then be offended about the veal. You can't eat the veal and complain about the cat being kicked. So something to that effect. But anyway, what are you going to do? I just shake my head now. People come up to me all the time and complain.
Get to the other one, because I'm sure you've been through the ringer. You've seen ups and downs and near in between. So obviously, it's something that you have to basically deal with.
Yeah, but it just comes with the territory now.
Territory. But what I really want to get your take on also is, again, the longevity. Because I know for a fact, again, through just observation, as just a regular fan of comedy, I know for a fact that this thing called stand-up, this thing being a comic, can wear you out. People don't go into this for the money. They do it. You put it yourself. People go into this for the love of the craft, but it can wear you out. I was wondering if you could teach us about, just again, the drive, the passion, and the patience to actually, just keep showing up, because it can wear you out.
Yeah. See, now when I started, the comedy boom was just coming out. Comedy clubs, 1,000 yucks in Canada. Comedy was any place that had a brick wall behind them was doing comedy all over the place. And so I got in on the big wave. But since then, it has constantly, this business, this is the only business I know where the price they pay us goes down every single year.
Really?
Really. It just, clubs used to pay, they used to pay you well, fly you in, fly you out, give you a car, rent you a car while you were at the club. All that's gone. Then it became a flat rate. Now it's like if you go to a club now, it's either a big name or a no name. So it's either 15,000 or 1,500. That's like, there's nothing in between. So, like I said, I carved out a decent niche for myself. I do cruise ships. I do a lot of shows for the military. I do a lot of private shows for fire and police. So I've done pretty good. But like I said, the people starting today, I always ask them, "What's your end game?" So if you're doing it for the love of the craft and everything, that's fine. But if you're doing it saying, because there's no more sitcoms, they don't do sitcoms like they used to. Used to be comedians and sitcoms. Montreal Comedy Festival isn't a launch anymore. The Tonight Show isn't a launch anymore. All these things were launching pads to bigger and better things, but all those things are gone. So I mean, I see comedy clubs now being advertised where they make the comedian pay to go on stage. Oh. Or you have to bring 10 people to go on stage. One of them I saw so not too long ago is you had to buy a slice of pizza and a drink to go on stage.
To go on stage.
So starting out today, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's almost impossible to go anywhere. I'm a nobody. Yeah, nobody knows me, but I've carved out a great 30-year career doing what I do. You know, I always say I'm in the trenches of comedy. I'm not the big star and I'm not starting, but I do all the trench work. Like you said before, there's a lot of guys out here who are hilarious, but nobody, you know, they never had a shot, never got lucky, never been in the right place, the right time, because that's all this business is. Right place, right time. Somebody likes you, they put you in something. Boom. You know, so, you know, because between you and I and the rest of your audience, we know 1,000 people on TV and movies where you go, how'd that guy get that job? He ain't funny. But
this is true.
Right place, right time.
This is true. And I'm even going to go out on a limb. You know, there is a very prominent comic. I'm not going to name him. But we know who he is, and he's all over the place. You know, he's mogul, like, you know, superstar stardom, like, you know, really rock concert comedy. I get it. I think
I know who you mean.
Do you? And this is no shade, because I really, you know, sympathize with the effort and the work ethic and building the brand and, you know, paving the way and doing great things. I do. But
I'm with you. I can't argue to people. I can't complain about it.
Not
you put in the work. You build yourself a nice audience.
And, you know, you put in the work and the longevity. Exactly. And you know what? I even used to see him, like, you know, in old music videos. And then there was that one movie with Snoop Dogg. And then, you know, like, here we are. That's, again, no hating. Like, great. I send great send great energy into the universe. But
that's right.
When I sit down and look at his stand-up, I'm just like, okay. It's like, okay. Yeah. I know that makes me sound really, really hater-ish, but I'm being honest. You know, it doesn't.
Yeah, I know what you listen. I'm in the game, and I'm the same way. You know, I'm sure. Listen, there's people going to watch my special and go, that wasn't for me. You know, I mean, when I look at it on YouTube and it's got the likes and the dislikes,
you're up to 5 million views, Kevin.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get to 6 million before year's out.
Insane.
So yeah, listen, and I'm not even the highest. That's the thing. There's a guy, a friend of mine, Brad Upton. He's at I think he crossed 70 million.
That is insane.
70 million. So that's he's. Yeah, but it is what it is.
So you're saying, obviously, that not all comedy is for everybody.
But yeah. You know, listen. You know, every now and then they'll do like a Q&A on the ship, and they'll ask me, and somebody always asks, "Hey, what do you think of like dirty comics? I don't like comics that are dirty." And I always say, I love comics that are dirty because they do what I can't do. You know, they do what I don't do. So, you know, everybody. I like my food with hot sauce. Some people don't like hot sauce. Everybody like everybody likes something different. So don't lump everybody into I don't like them because I don't like that guy. And that's what they do with comedies. I don't like that guy. And I saw a guy get dirty once, so I'm not going to see any comic.
Whoa.
But that happens all the time. But yeah, there's somebody for everybody. If you some people like Cosby. Some people like Carlin. Some people like Pryor. Some people like Joan Rivers. What are you going to do?
There you go. Everybody had their audience. Like, you know, Pryor was as much of a marquee as Cosby was. Like, you know, Cosby could be both of them could be in Vegas, like one show across from the other. It's like, okay, so take your pick. I love them both. I really do. You know, I really do. And, you know, you just have to understand that, okay, not all comics are for everybody. Like for me, like an example I can pick, like, you know, he was a really big superstar, Andrew Dice Clay. I never, you know, just gravitated towards Dice. And again, I see old shows they used to do, like, wow, that guy was kind of a big deal. But
he was huge. He was huge. He would sell out Madison Square Garden in New York. He was doing theater arenas, and he was huge. So, you know, he was the top of the food chain. So but everybody found a niche, found an audience. You know, oh my God, I can't think of her name. Oh my God, I can't think of her name, but she used to have she used to do all women shows. No men allowed. No men allowed in the building. No men allowed in the sound booth.
Not Wanda.
No, not Wanda. It was a white comic. She had a talk show for a little while too.
Rosie?
But not Rosie. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Female.
She was opening for Engelbert Humperdinck for a long time, but wasn't that funny? But she found a niche in doing all women shows. She would go over the country to these all women shows at comedy clubs and exploded. And then she had her own talk show, like I said, for years. And then I never got it, but teach his own.
There you go. And again, for the people listening to us, because again, there's somebody out there wanting to write that book, somebody out there wanting to write that song, wanting to actually get on that stage and tell a joke. Mm-hmm. What can you tell them about, what, your dream will find you? Because a lot of people are just stuck in just like, nah, but, maybe it's not the right thing. It's not the right thing. It's not the right thing.
You know what? We get in our own way of doing getting things accomplished. People sit around and talk forever. Oh, I could write a book and I should do this, or I always wanted to do stand up. Ain't nothing stopping you. Ain't nothing stopping you. There's a comedy club just about in every town. Just go try it. You want to write a book? I wrote a book. Every day. So every day I wrote 10 pages. And guess what? At the end of 3 months, I had a book, 10 pages. Wow. I just finished writing my second screenplay.
Nice.
I locked myself in a room, 10 pages. That's my theory. 10 pages. You get 10 pages down and you just write. Put 10 pages down. You may not like the 10 pages. You may go back and change it. But every day your library gets a little bigger. Your volume gets a little bigger. We constantly put obstacles in our way and tell ourselves of what we can't do and saying, you know what, here's what I'm going to do. And that's the problem with people. I'm the biggest. Me too. I had a year off and said, well, I got a piano in my house that nobody plays. Nobody plays a piano. When my wife moved into the house, she goes, where am I going to put the piano? I said, what are you bringing the piano for? Nobody plays the piano. You don't play it. Kids don't play it. Nobody plays it. Well, I like having a piano. I said, well, I ain't got no room in my house for a piano because I had a screen, 100-inch screen that came out of the ceiling.
No.
Projected TV and a surround round, and that ran from my living room to the dining room. Oh my God. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
I want one.
It was beautiful. She moved in. Had to take that screen down.
No.
That piano sits right in the middle of the living room. Nobody plays the piano. So this whole year, I said, you know what? I got a year off, pandemic. I'm going to learn to play the piano. Not a note. Not a note. But we got 88 keys on the piano. I think about 74 keys work.
Whoa. Oh my God.
But we have a piano. My big screen, I had to take it out, fill in the ceiling, patch the ceiling. I had to put it sitting out in the garage.
Surround sound, scrolling down screen.
It was beautiful. It made me cry every time I think about it. Oh my God. So my wife says to me, well, why don't you put it in the office where I'm sitting now? But the office is tiny. The thing would be right here in my face like that. So
that's amazing. I'm laughing because I get relatable stories because I can think of so many items in our house that my wife and I are taking over. I'm not going to mention her because my wife hates when I do this on the recordings, but yeah, so relatable. So sorry.
Yeah, man.
But we can't set aside the fact that you put in 30 years, and again the fact that just a random fan in Canada can actually find your video and resonate with it. There's a lot of hard work involved in it, and again, a lot of people get bogged down by the monotony of greatness. What I mean by that is that there is work involved. You can't just you can't just decide, because I believe there's a big misconception with stand-up comedy and just get up and tell a joke.
Yeah. I wish it was that easy. I wish, there are some nights I go out, but I've been doing it 30 years. So I go out and I just wing it, man. I just make up things on the fly, and, I'll throw in, if it don't work, then I'll throw in a real joke so that I know that I can still get a laugh. And then I go back to whatever I was talking about. But yeah, it's, it does take a lot of work. Cause like I said, so, Chappelle does Sticks and Stones, right? Brilliant. Chris Rock does Bigger and Badder, Bigger and Blacker, I think it is. Brilliant, right? They can never do it again. All that's gone. You can't. So it don't take people say to me, oh, I saw Chris Rock at a club. He wasn't that good. He wasn't that good because he's probably working on material for his next special. All that stuff doesn't come together in one day. You gotta put all in order, figure out what works. Then you gotta remember it. So
that's intense.
It is. So and then after you do the big special, you're done. All that, throw it away. Let's start again. Yeah, I remember I worked with a guy named Rich Jenny, and Rich Jenny, he was brilliant. And I saw him go up and do 45 minutes, and they gave him the stretch sign from the back of the stage, and he went and he did another 20. So he did like an hour, 5 hour, 10.
Wow, that's a marathon.
Right. So then the second show, he goes up and does a completely different show. Not a word from the first show. Totally different. And I said to myself, man, that's how I got to learn to do this business like that. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to him after the show, and I said to him, Rich, you did one show, we did that show. He goes, yeah, listen, he says, he signed a 3 comedy deal, 3 special deal with Showtime.
Okay.
He said, and those shows have to be done. He said, so I got no time I got to write, got to get it. I got to put things out there, got to find out what's going to work, because when the date comes, when we're going to shoot that special, I got to be ready.
Wow. And you know what? We're talking about the hard work, and we talked about the fear, but it's definitely when we said, like, the crowd is your best educator, right? I'm sure we can't leave aside the fact that, the fear of failure, or bombing as they call it.
Ooh, let me tell you this. Let me tell you that's the bombing story. Listen, it happens, but it happens. So pandemic year, right? Mm-hmm. I don't do any shows. I don't do any shows for about a year and a half. I won't do Zoom shows, because Zoom shows are just look so bad, and they were horrible. I refuse to do any. So a buddy of mine calls me and goes, hey, I got a show for you to do. It's 10 minutes for the Salvation Army. I go, oh, okay. And this is just earlier this year. Mm-hmm. This will be my first show out the gate. I go, 10 minutes? Nah, that's not a problem. I can wing 10 minutes. So the show comes, and 3 comics, all supposed to do 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Right? The first girl goes up. She does 45. Oh, my goodness. 45. All right. Okay, no problem. Just do your 10 and you'll be good.
Good.
But the thing is, I can't remember. I can remember the jokes, but some of them I can't remember the punchlines. Oh. Some of them I can't remember the setups. I can remember, the punchlines. Some of them I can't remember the punchlines, but I can remember the setups. So I said, all right, just do what you do. It'll hit you as you go along, because everything will just come back.
You'll be fine.
I walk out on the stage, first 2 jokes, nothing. And I mean nothing. Silence. I tell everybody, silence.
Not a chuckle, not a
no, right. So I figure, all right, here's a joke. Do this joke, because this joke work all the time. I do it, and it gets a giggle. I go, oh man. I peek down at my watch. I got 8 minutes to go.
Oh wow.
Like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So man, I put my head down and I bulldozed through it. One of the jokes I completely messed up. One of the jokes I started and I couldn't remember how to finish it. And I come off stage and I say to the guy backstage, I go, hey, is there another way out of here? And he goes, no, you have to go back through the audience to get out. I go,
oh, wow.
I put my head down and I walked back through the crowd and sat down with my wife.
Heck of a walk of shame.
How? It was so bad. It was so bad.
How do you sleep that night?
You don't. It was so bad, and then about a couple of weeks later, I had to do a ship, and that's a 45-minute show. Mm-hmm. I had to do a ship, so I went and got a bunch of my tapes, and I listened to some, and I had some new jokes I wanted to try because I was afraid to try it in a 10-minute set, and it went okay. It went okay. It wasn't. I wasn't in stride, but it went okay. It was good enough to get me back. To get the train back on the tracks and get rolling. Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, that Salvation Army show,
yeah, it's up there. Like, you'll remember it.
Yes, it was. It was humbling, because I always tell guys who bomb, and I always tell guys who are starting out, it's not your last show, so don't let it affect you going forward. And everything. It's not the last show you're gonna do, and nobody's gonna judge you on that show. Well, maybe somebody might judge you on that show, but for the most part, nobody's gonna judge you on one show. So don't worry about it.
You didn't die.
But, exactly. And you're better than what you put out there. You just feel bad for yourself. And people there were saying, oh, you were funny, and listen, maybe I'm being hard on myself, but I know the difference between that show and any other show I did afterwards. But it happens. But you know what? You got to have a thick skin in this business. You can't have a thin skin. You can't take anything personal. That's just comes with the territory.
Because people bring their feelings into the craft, and you need to understand that you're dealing with people. Dealing with people, and that means you're dealing with emotions. You're dealing with cultures. You're dealing with like you're dealing with people's bad days, and you know what? Some people just need to let it out, and they chose to you as a target.
Yeah, exactly right. So I've had people want to fight me.
No kidding.
Yeah, had a guy come up on stage, and this guy was huge. He was a big man, and he wanted to fight me. And fights, they broke it up, and I was acting like I was tough, but oh man, I was scared. And so then after he leaves the stage, the MC goes, "Hey, you want more of Kevin Jordan? Let's bring him back up." No, don't bring me back up. I was done.
Don't do this to me. No, don't. I'll be back here. I'll be backstage.
Yeah, that's right. It's a listen. You never know. When you do this business, you just never know. Welcome to showbiz.
Welcome to showbiz. This question just came up. Montreal has a really big comic scene, and they even have the National Humor Academy school. Anyway, where a lot of local Montreal, Quebec comics actually just train, and Right. But it always piqued my interest. Can you actually learn funny, or is it like learning how to chisel the stories and your humor to get the punchline, to have the setup, learn the techniques? But can you learn funny?
I don't think somebody can teach you funny. You can learn to be like, I wasn't a funny kid, and I wasn't a wise guy. I was a quiet child. And when I first started going into comedy, my parents and even my parents' friends or people I know when they found out I was doing stand-up, they go, you doing stand-up? Get out of here. You don't even talk. So some people do come out of the shell, but I always wonder about people who take comedy classes. I just don't get it. It's the class is, like you said, it's a class of hard knocks. It's a class you'll learn the class. But I don't think anybody can teach you anything about being funny.
You just have to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said, just show up with a glove and just do the open mic.
Exactly. You just you just got to keep punching it. Because you know what the hardest thing in this business is finding your own voice.
Okay.
Carrot Top is all props and everything. So, and that's why I always say you can't compare comics, because you can't compare Carrot Top to Chris Rock to Seinfeld, because that's three different comics to Carlin. Mm-hmm. Everybody stays in their own lane and does what they do. And that's three different things. How are you going to judge that? It's just a matter of what you like. Some people like Carrot Top. Some people hate Carrot Top. Some people like Chris Rock. Some people hate Chris Rock. So you have to, Quentin Tarantino once said, he said, no one should go to film school. If you took the money you would spend on film school and made a film, you learned everything you need to know. Same thing with comedy. You don't need to go to a comedy class. Just go down to a local comedy place, hang out at comedy clubs, learn how the craft is done, and you'll be in the same boat.
Wow. See, that's powerful. That's powerful, because a lot of people think that they need the tools, they need the coaching, they need the writing, which is all good. I believe, you should get some mentoring, and it's at some point you will peak, and sometimes someone just, either Kevin or someone in your circle probably knows something that you don't. So pick up knowledge along the way. But exactly. You know what? Your best teacher is the experience. Like, if I can just I always take this podcast as an example. I started this out on my phone and headphones, and that's it. And eventually, okay, how do we, seriously, phone, headphones, just sitting in a closet in my basement and just recording solo episodes. Like, okay, I guess I need to book guests. Okay, how do I record? Okay, how does Skype work? Okay, so can I actually record this thing? Okay, I need to put this on YouTube. Okay, how do I host? Like, how does iTunes work? Like, I didn't get it. And there was trials and tribulations and hard knocks. And I would be sleeping up at 2:00 in the morning trying to figure out, how do I edit this thing? It's like, oh my God, I'm too loud. I go back to older episodes now. I'm like, this is crap. But you know what? I'm proud of it, because you know what? I'm still here. I didn't die.
That's right.
And you have to take every situation, every experience as a learning opportunity.
my first screenplay that I wrote. I didn't know how to write a screenplay.
No kidding.
But no, I didn't know how to do anything. So what I did was I downloaded the screenplay for Christmas Story, because my movie's a lot like Christmas Story. And everything, I just looked, how the hell you do that? Oh, this how you do it? So that's how you do it. All right, this how they do it when I had to change scenes. How do I do it? This how I do it. All right, now here's the problem. I thought I was Mozart. I thought anything I put down on paper is perfect. I ain't spell check. I ain't do nothing. Wrote it, and started entering it in festivals. Even told some woman I met, long story short, some woman I met from Toronto. She owned a production company, sent it to her, said, hey, my movie's ready. And that movie, I look, and you know what's funny is it was horrible. It was bad. Misspelled words, scene headings wrong, camera action wrong. It was hard. It's a mess. But it placed in the Austin Film Festival. I was like, holy mackerel. And that's which was a good thing and a bad thing. It was good because it meant, I was like, well, the idea, somebody got the idea and said, you know what, this is a good idea. Let's move them forward. But the bad thing was it told me I ain't got to change nothing. I know what I'm doing. It was so bad.
That is incredible. That is incredible. That is incredible.
But since then, I've cleaned it up and straightened it out. And and the second one that I just finished.
You rolled the dice,
man. I rolled those dice. And in this business, you don't get a second chance. So, because I sent the screenplay to this company in Toronto. She loved it. And she wound up optioning it. But then she she got so busy doing her own thing that I became a back burner issue. So she had to let me go. But she loved the idea and she loved the movie. But it was horrible. But if I had sent it, let's say I had sent it to Tyler Perry. Let's say I meet Tyler Perry and he says, hey, well, send it to me. Let's see what it looks like. I'd never get that second chance because he would have looked at it and go, oh my God, it's a mess. What's wrong with that child? Wow. And sent it back. And so be careful. That's all I'm saying. Be careful. Make sure everything's ready before you move forward.
You have to take, you have to take your chances.
Yeah, right. But you got to take a chance. You still got to move forward. You got to take a chance and go for it.
We get frozen by the fear. We get frozen by, just wanting it to be super perfect and polished. But you got to take chances.
Exactly. So.
But I had just, I'm going to let you go. But what question did I have? One thing that inspired me by the show, I keep going back to the show because I really enjoyed it. Like, again, tears of joy, like tears of dead laughter. I'm like, God, like I've never laughed so hard, so genuinely in a really long time. And when you walk off stage and you realize that you've touched someone, because sometimes I'm sure you can read the crowd and you see it in their faces. What's that like when you walk away, that, you've touched someone? Because again, sometimes all we need is a good laugh, and what does that say about the power of laughter?
We say it all the time. Laughter is the best medicine. And it really is, man. That's what it always cracks me up when people say to me, I don't like comedians. I'm like, well, who doesn't like to laugh? Why would you not like to laugh? Everybody loves to laugh. But it is a really, really powerful thing when you at the end of your show and you look out into the audience and they're standing on their feet and they're just applauding for you. It really, honestly, for me, just me personally, it's embarrassing when they stand up like that. And
why?
I don't know. It just, to me, it's so embarrassing. I get so embarrassed when they do it. That's just a personal. I think that's the shy part of me. Because my wife's always telling me,
you put the wrong business as a shy person.
I know, man. She always tells me, why don't you stand out there and take a bigger bow? And I always say, because I'm embarrassed. So, but yeah, it's back to what I said. It's a feeling like none other, man. It really, really is. And it's a great thing when people come up to you and they tell you they were having a bad day or this and that, or like, like with you, when you told me about, they say you're 40, you from Canada, but you relate to everything I talk about. And I grew up in New York City, right? I had a guy from India tell me, because I talk about playing the game until the streetlights came on, and then that's when everybody had to go home. And this guy from India told me, he goes, yeah, I was the same way. We would play cricket in this field, and when this one light would come on, we all had to run home.
We know it's time to come home.
It's universal.
Same thing in Haiti.
Yeah, exactly. See that? It's universal. Everybody had to do that.
We used to be out just playing soccer or basketball in the local church, and the second that the court light came on, like, oh, okay, it's kind of late, guys. Right. Grab the ball.
Right. Didn't matter what that score was. you winning. Well, we won because that light, the light would flicker before it would come on full, and we saw that light. Oh, man, better get home. You better be in your house or in front of your house when that light came on. But it's so universal. It's worldwide. And that's the kind of things I like to talk about.
It's so powerful. And I guess it's going to be my parting question. Like, again, because, you're a parent, I'm a parent. And, this generation, as you said, I guess sometimes are too all up in their feelings because sometimes the stuff that my daughter, who's 8, gets worked up over. And again, I'm probably putting my 40-year-old eyes on an 8-year-old problem. But how can we teach them to be a little bit more receptive and a little bit more, don't take stuff too seriously? What would be your words of guidance for that?
You know what? I don't know what the words are, because I had 3 boys and I just try to tell them, don't take I try to teach the grandkids now, it ain't that serious. And all you can do is tell them. But until it's like anything else, until they're ready to hear the words, they ain't gonna, they're gonna stay in that own little world. But most of our problem when we were kids, you had to go work that problem out. Mm-hmm. There was no Facebook and no chat room or nowhere you could go on and you had to go work that problem out. You had a bully, you're gonna see that bully every day.
Deal with it.
That's right. Till you worked it out. Till you fix it out. So yeah, I guess all we can do is lead by example when we tell them it ain't that serious, it ain't that big a deal. And you got girls, so that's, oh my goodness, I say another layer of emotion laid on top of that. So and she 8, you only getting started. you ain't seen nothing yet.
The things I'm getting right now, like the mood swings,
you don't know nothing. I love him.
oh yeah, I love them. Like she's got 3 suitors right now. Like you're 8
years old. Oh,
you're 8. You're 8.
Lord,
calm down. Okay?
This is the one.
Like calm down. It's like, no, Daddy, you don't understand. I love him. It's like, did he tell you he loves you back? No, but he's probably keeping it a secret. It's like, all right.
So you don't know nothing about love, Daddy.
you don't know nothing. You don't get it. You don't understand. You do not understand. I'm gonna go to my room.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'm going on my room and getting online.
Oh my God.
So, but yeah, listen. Until you're ready to receive the word, you will not hear the word.
No.
So.
That's the path of life. It's been such a privilege and a thrill to have you on.
Thanks for man. That was very nice of you. I appreciate it. It's
sincere. It's very sincere. It's guys, I really do invite you. Just go on YouTube. I will link it up to the blog post once it goes live. But obviously, guys, Dry Bar Comedy, Kevin Jordan. You can't miss it.
And go buy my book.
Please. When the Streetlights Came On, Kevin Jordan, available on Amazon and all the wonderful outlets. But if anybody wants to connect with you, are there any particular places you want to send them? The website, Facebook, or
kevinjordan.com. Mm-hmm. Which would probably be the easiest way to find me. But like I said, I have a YouTube page, Kevin Jordan, the YouTube. I have Instagram. Right now, I'm trying to sell that movie, so I'm on Instagram like every week now. Instagram, Facebook, all the normal places. That's right. Hey, listen, put it out there. That's for sure. Put it out there. Listen, you never know. The person I need to reach could be watching your show.
Wow.
So you never know. I played golf with a guy from an Indian guy from Quebec in the Bahamas, and he keeps telling me, he keeps emailing me, hey, I want to introduce you to my friends from Netflix. Who knew?
Oh,
so we'll see if we can keep Ted Sarandos from getting fired.
We'll see. Definitely.
But you never know. You never know where your blessings come from.
Definitely.
So, this was just meant to be.
This was meant to be. It's like a connection to the universe. That's and just curious, have the cruises picked up? So are you getting more gigs right now?
Yeah. I go out. I go out next week. I go to Fort Lauderdale one time around the Caribbean. I just came home from a 3 7-day cruises in Alaska out of Seattle. So they're coming back. They're coming back slowly. I have one more run around the Caribbean right before Christmas. And they're starting to fill up for 2022. The ship was a 60% capacity. but everybody was in good spirits. Everybody, you wore a mask when you were in the elevator or around the ship. You didn't have to wear a mask if you were outdoors. You didn't have to wear a mask at meals. No one got sick. 3 weeks, no breakouts, no nothing.
Amazing.
So I think we're coming back. I think everything's making a comeback.
Again, everything works out slowly but surely.
Indeed.
We do have a running tradition on the podcast as a closing word, if you will. Just again, inviting the guests, kind of like an open floor. You're used to this, like an empty. The spotlight is on you, but again, what I like to call the next step, as in a personal quote, a book recommendation, or like a next step, an action someone can take. Waking up tomorrow and just take that next step towards their next level, whatever life looks like. Would you have any words of wisdom for them?
Every day's a new day. And don't be afraid to try new things. That's just, every day. You are never too old. You know what my mother used to say to me? She used to say, put all your eggs in one basket. And if it don't work out, just start another basket.
Boom.
So you got to try. You can't, if you have a plan B, then you don't have a plan A, as they say, right? Because go take a chance. Take a chance. That was just not kill. I'm doing all the quotes. That was just not kill you, make you stronger. Everything, right? So take a chance. What's it going to kill you? What's it going to hurt?
You can't die.
Just another life experience.
Wow. So. Guys, Kevin Jordan, award-winning comedian, such an amazing individual. Please do go follow him on all the web presences. I will link everything up onto the blog post once it goes live. You guys know I will stay committed to this. But as always, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Kevin Jordan, thank you so much.
Get my special over 6 million before the year's out.
Yes, right now it's 5 million and something. Let's get it up to YouTube.
5.4.
Get it up to.
I watch it every day.
Watch it. The ticker's going up, and we will make it happen. We will. Every single watch counts. Go, guys. It is definitely worth it. Just like it's not just passing comedy. Just sit down and experience it, because it's one time where you can have comedy where there's no political agenda. You just sit down and you're just having fun.
Exactly right.
And that's refreshing.
Glad you enjoyed it. Glad you had a good time, man.
Can't thank you enough, guys. As always, thanks so much for checking in. Stay blessed. Do stay safe. And as always, stay awesome.
This has been another episode of the Awaken the Awesome podcast. We always love to get your feedback, so please do drop us a line via Instagram, Facebook, or email. Our email address, awakentheawesome@gmail.com. Do visit our official website at awakentheawesome.ca, where you can find our entire back catalog of episodes and incredible guests. Also, if you haven't already, please hop on over to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, give us a rating, and leave us a review, as this helps us tremendously in growing this podcast and spreading the word to more awesome listeners like you. We always appreciate your support, and thank you for listening. Stay awesome.